What's going on YouTube? This is Dre the Plug coming at you live with some more technical heat. In this video right here, I'm about to go over another interview. This person is named Fernanda Sulantay. She's originally from El Salvador and she decided to take on the major of being a chemical engineer. And on top of that, she decided to go straight into her PhD right after getting her bachelor's. So let's get into the video. Let's get into some of this technical heat.
Hi guys, as Andre said, my name is Fernanda Sulantay and I'm from El Salvador. I moved to Connecticut when I was 19 years old and went to UConn for my bachelor's in chemical engineering. I just graduated this year, 2020, and I'm now starting my PhD in chemical engineering at Yale University.
Okay, Fernanda, so what made you choose this field? Like everybody always say chemical or they'll say electrical. They'll say either electrical or chemical is the hardest. I feel like chemical engineering is harder than electrical engineering, but what made you take on this route of engineering?
Yes, actually, a lot of people think that chemical engineering is the hardest one, and I actually looked it up, and it's always there's like several websites, and like it's between electrical and chemical engineering. So we did the hardest one, but at the moment, I didn't even know. When I was in high school, I always liked the sciences and math. So my mom and like teachers suggested me to go for engineering. And then I started exploring the different engineerings. I actually, like at first, I wanted to study aerospace engineering, but that wasn't offered in my country. Imagine that in like any university. So like my second option was chemical engineering, but I'm so glad that I went to chemical engineering because I ended up liking it a lot.
Okay, so what made you want to jump into getting your PhD after graduating with your bachelor's when you could just go straight into the workplace and get a full-time job? What made you actually want to pick that option?
So the thing is that my main goal is to become a professor. And I found out like during my undergrad that to be a professor, you need to do your PhD first. So that's how I came up with the idea. And while I was doing my undergrad, I did research and I also had jobs in the engineering field. And I realized that I was more interested in like doing research and pursuing my PhD to finally become a professor than going into the workforce.
Okay, so you mentioned that you got your bachelor's, and in the midst of getting your bachelor's, you already knew that you wanted to take on getting your PhD. So how did that all come about?
Yes, so I started my academic career at a community college, and like after 2 years before transferring to UConn, which is a four-year college, a professor at the community college told me about this opportunity, which is called REU. That stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates. And these research programs are funded by the NSF. So if you're a citizen or a green card holder, you can apply to them. They happen over the summer and they cover your travel costs. They give you a place to live because you live in the university, and they also pay you to do research. So the first time I applied was to do an RU at Princeton University. And when I went there, I started getting to know things about doing research and doing a PhD. And that's how I got interested in doing it. So I highly recommend doing one of these programs. These programs, specifically the one that I did, the next year they took us to the Czech Republic. So like the next summer, I went to the Czech Republic and I was there for like 10 weeks doing research, but I got to travel, so it was an amazing experience. And then also when I transferred to UConn, I contacted different professors in the chemical engineering department to see if someone wanted me to work with them. And so one professor told me that she liked my previous experience, so I started working with her. And at the end, since I was part of the honors program at my university, I had to do an honor thesis, and I did this honors thesis with this professor at UConn. And so like all these research experience helped me when I applied to grad school.
Okay, so jumping into doing chemical engineering, right? A lot of people always say starting out it's a lot of difficult classes. What's the class that you will say is the most beneficial one when it comes down to really starting out, when you're like a freshman, just really getting into the whole midst of becoming a chemical engineer? What's a class that you really need to zero in on and understand the basics to be successful?
So I don't know if I can mention just one specific class, but starting out, you take a lot of general classes like general physics, general chemistry, and all the math. And I think that really paying attention and learning those topics are really going to help you when you take like the hardest classes, because I've seen, classmates that they had a difficult time taking these difficult classes because they couldn't remember something that we learned in like calculus 1. So I will say that learning your math, your physics and chemistry, it's super important. And then as you go along, I think that one class that it was super beneficial, it's the senior design project, because at this point you use everything that you've learned during your undergrad and you put it into a project. And these also can be helpful, not only to put in practice everything you learned, but also if you don't have work experience, these can serve you as a work experience. Sometimes you get to work with companies, they sponsor you, and I've known people that thanks to doing the senior design project with these companies, they got a job. But also you can just put in your resume and it's good experience.
Okay, so what's something that you did not expect jumping into this field?
So one of the things that I didn't expect was learning how to code. I really didn't know that we had to learn how to code. But now that I see, like nowadays coding is so important. And so like in chemical engineering, you take a basic coding class, I think in your freshman year. And then in the other classes, we use Python and MATLAB a lot for like solving problems. And also we had a class in our junior year that it's called chemical engineering analysis, and we learn about numerical methods and we use MATLAB a lot, and it was very advanced. So I was definitely surprised to get to know like how much coding we were using.
Okay, so what drew you into your side hustle? You mentioned to me that you have a clothing line of basically women clothing for STEM majors, specifically women in STEM. So what got you into that?
Yeah, I'm so excited that I opened that store. And it all started because at the beginning of this year, with my classmates, I have a group of friends and we wanted to create, well, actually, we wanted to buy cute t-shirts for engineers, right? And we were looking online and we couldn't find something cute. It's like we didn't like it. And that's how the idea came, because I designed something, and then at that moment I told my aunt, because she makes t-shirts and she made it for us. And then I was like, you know what, like this could be a business. And that's how it all started. And I designed some stuff and now I'm selling them. And actually this is one of them. This one says STEMinist. And I focus in like women in STEM, because I thought that there were a lot of t-shirts for engineers for guys, but not a lot of options for women.
Okay, Fernanda, so what's something that you want to leave off with for the viewer that's watching?
Well, I would like to emphasize that it doesn't matter if you have an unusual path. If you have a passion, then you can achieve whatever you want. In my case, I feel like I didn't have I had an unusual path and I still did good. Like I came from another country when I was already 19 years old. I had to get settled here and learn a new language and get used to a new culture. And also I became a mom in the middle of engineering school, and at the end, like I still did good, and now I'm working on my PhD.
Okay, so what's some challenges that you had to face, jumping and being into chemical engineering? Like you had to overcome some type of barriers.
So as I was mentioning, first like coming to a new country and learning a new language. So yeah, like English being my second language has been a challenge for me. I remember when I started at the community college, I couldn't really speak well, but I just couldn't wait anymore. I had to start classes, so I just like started going to school. And what I did is that I used to buy books before the semester started, like the books for the class, and I'll study beforehand so I could be like quote unquote ahead of the class. But in reality, because I knew that when I was gonna start classes, I was gonna fall behind because I thought that I was not gonna get it, but that helped me a lot, and I became like a better reader before that I could speak better English. So that's how I faced that challenge. Another challenge was being a first generation student in college. Yeah, because my parents didn't graduate from college, and it was just like the whole thing about figuring out like how to apply, what things do I need to do, what recommendations do I need, how to pay for college. That's a big one. And like trying to understand that in English and by myself, I think it was a big challenge, and a big challenge that a lot of people go through. So and that's why I like sharing resources in my social media. So the way that I overcame those challenges, it was informing myself, talking to people, trying to find resources online. Like Google was my best friend. And yeah, and like talking to people, because you never know what things you can find just by making connections. And that's how I found out about different scholarships. I applied to a bunch of small scholarships that really helped me, like $500 here, $1,000 there. They really help. And yeah, so that's how I overcame that challenge. And then another big challenge for me was becoming a mom in the middle of the my undergrad, because I had my baby in my first semester of my junior year, and I didn't want to stop going to school, because in my school, if you don't go for one semester for chemical engineering major, you lose the whole year. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So I went to class. Like I remember it was a Friday, and I went to class, and on Monday was my due date. And I was there, going to class, driving by myself, and I was fine. Then I had my baby, and then after 2 weeks I came back to classes. So what I did in that case is that I prepared beforehand as well. I talked to the professors, I did some homework beforehand, and like I planned it out, and everything was fine. Like it was really hard, obviously, but also like I had a good support system. And this is another thing that I like to share in my social media, because I know this is a big thing for women in STEM. It's like we feel like we only have two options, like you either become a mom or you pursue your career. And I like to show that maybe it's not like the easiest way, but you can still do it. Like I want to follow my passion, but I also love my son, so like I do both things, and you can do it.
On your Instagram, you put out a whole lot of college tips, a whole lot of scholarship opportunities. Tell the people your Instagram, and also tell the people where they can go to actually purchase one of your t-shirts. Get to check out your whole catalog and see which one they actually want to buy.
So you guys can find me on Instagram by the name of Fern Sulantay. And if you want to find me on TikTok as well with the same name. And then for YouTube, you can find me by Fernanda Sulantay. Also, if you want to check out my clothes, then you can go to the Instagram Engineering Bodies, or you can also go to the Etsy store, and it's with the same name, Engineering Bodies. So thank you, Andre, for having me here. And for that, we'll give you guys a discount code here. You can put Dread the Plug to get a discount code, and it's good for 2 weeks. You can put Dread the Plug to get a discount code, and it's good for 2 weeks.
And that concludes this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It really do help my channel when it comes down to the YouTube algorithm. If you guys have any questions regarding anything, just hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on the gram at DreDaPlug123. And then also go check out my other YouTube channel. This is actually my second channel. My first one was called Andre classic cuts. I basically go in and give tutorials about all types of different haircuts. I actually show people how to do different type of things with the clippers that has never been done, and I pretty much go into detail as to why certain things happen. So definitely go check out that channel. Besides that, be on the lookout for my next content that's dropping. Be on the lookout for it because it's coming real soon. And I'm out.